Cowboys with 6 shooters, covered wagons crossing the plains, and Native Americans wearing war paint and feathers. These are the images most people associate with America's Old West. The Wild West as we know it tends to come from Hollywood movies. And that's a very cleaned up, sanitized version of what the West was really like. But might there be more to the story? Much, much, much. When we think of the Old West, the last thing we think about would be Billy the Kid chasing a flying saucer across the desert. From cowboys to lawyers to doctors to housewives washing the clothes and taking care of the sheep. People were seeing things in the sky they couldn't explain. This is a replica of one of the bars that was in one of the lightships. And they're guarded by the Star People. Man, ancient aliens have been around for tens of thousands, if not millions of years. Why would they avoid the American Southwest? Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And did the cowboys and natives of America's Wild West actually come in contact with alien beings from another, much more distant frontier? What kind of a man goes around blowing up other people's cows? You've got to believe me. There was white light, this bright light. There was this big light and you fell in the river. And when you come back, 2 of my best hands has just disappeared. In the 2011 film, Cowboys and Aliens, a man awakens in the desert with no clue to his past. Except for a mysterious metal device shackled to his wrist. Aurora, Texas. This rural southwestern town covers an area of just over 3 square miles. Headstones at the local cemetery mark the final resting places of the area's hardworking ranchers and farmers. But one body, allegedly buried here, has no marker at all. Texas State Historical Commission has a marker here. This states the cemetery is well known because of the legend of a spaceship crashed nearby in 1897. 50 years before, the United States Army announced that a flying disc had crashed at Roswell, New Mexico. On an April morning in 1897, an airship supposedly ran into a windmill on the property of a gentleman named Judge Proctor. And it was burned to a crisp, essentially. In those days, this is before television, before jet aircraft, any big noise got your attention. He reported that there was a large debris field and also that there was the charred remains of what appeared to be, to him, an alien from another planet. The occupant, described as unworldly by witnesses, was given a Christian burial and put in an unmarked grave. This occurred 6 years before there was anything man-made in the air. Witnesses claimed that debris from the crash was recovered by local law enforcement and never seen again. Others claim that Judge Proctor buried it at the bottom of a deep well. He later developed an extremely severe case of arthritis, which he claimed to be the result of the contaminated water. So a lot of people today wonder if the well wasn't contaminated with some sort of radioactive agents. The descendants of these people actually decides to cement the well. A few years ago, scientists with ground-penetrating radar established that there really had been a short grave here. Someone extracted the metal out of the grave. Adams County, Ohio, At the end of the 1700s, President George Washington awarded what was then the uncharted land. But when the settlers arrived, they found much of the land covered with thousands of Indian burial mounds, and one of these was very different from the rest. What you have is a gigantic structure which just sits there in the middle of a fairly interesting landscape, like the Nazca lines in Peru. Serpent Mound is a giant prehistoric structure that looks as though it is meant to be viewed only from the sky. And it can't really be appreciated when you're standing there looking at it. What we have here is meant to be seen from the sky. And it's on a very uneven ground. And really, to lay that out and make it right, you'd almost have to be above looking down to get it right, which is a mystery. This 1,330-foot-long structure widens across the land and depicts a coiled snake eating what appears to be an egg. Curiously, unlike most Native American mounds, the Great Serpent Mound was not constructed for burials. Another curious aspect of Serpent Mound is where the ancient Native Americans chose to build it, on the outside swell of a 5-mile-wide meteor crater. If you bring a compass to the Great Serpent Mound, there's certain spots where the compass needle just keeps going. The myth has it that the Native Americans, when they came here, could see birds, similar to passenger pigeons or homing pigeons circling by the millions. The meteor also deposited a number of elements not indigenous to the area, including one of the rarest elements on Earth, iridium. Iridium can withstand temperatures up to 2,000 Celsius. It is not corrosive, and it's actually been used in unmanned spacecraft. These deep space probes include actually a radioactive source, because it's the only thing that can provide enough power. We have iron, iridium, and uranium. 3 substances which definitely should not be considered to be of any use to Native Americans, and point to numerous caves found in the crater's swell beneath the mound. As evidence of this, might this explain why the Serpent Mound was built on a scale that made its shape visible from the sky? The Serpent Mound is a marker for space, according to the Shawnee Indians. The star ancestors taught the American Indians about where they came from and how they're supposed to carry out their rituals. The serpent itself was aligned to a constellation that had its apex at the height of the night sky 5,000 years ago. In addition to lining up with the stars of Draconis, the coils of Serpent Mound also align with the solar events of the solstice and equinox, as well as the 18.6-year lunar cycle. These magnetic anomalies, these faults, attract lightning. Ross Hamilton, the Serpent Mound is right on the edge of an outcropping of pure limestone or dolomite. Might it have held an advanced alien technology that was somehow lost? When I look at our history of building ancient monuments, like Stonehenge, the Sphinx, the pyramids, the Mayan temples, what it tells me is no matter how technologically advanced we are today, but we know that if their prophecies hold true, the Serpent Mound will be reactivated again one day. If so, perhaps there is also truth in legends of other, even more bizarre alien encounters in the American West. The body was described as being like an alligator, and the wings were described as They just shot at the bird, and it got away. It was literally bulletproof. Could this so-called Thunderbird really have been the same creature that Cowboys shot at in Tombstone? Elizabeth Lake, Southern California. This high desert body of water sits at the junction of the tectonic plates that form the powerful San Andreas Fault. The Mexicans who colonized California in the 1700s called it Laguna del Diablo, Lake of the Devil. Local legend says that at the bottom is actually an ancient city underworld. Even when the airplanes first started going out up in the sky here in the Southwest, they referred them to as metal birds. It makes me think of a concept called cultural tracking, which is the idea that UFOs can mask themselves to appear as almost anything. Perhaps that was just their interpretation, or perhaps that's what they actually saw. The truth of the matter is, there's some very interesting, incredible stories that come from the 1800s about flying objects and strange encounters and events. As we continue to explore the vastness of the universe and examine more and more of the mysteries of the Earth, are we getting closer to unlocking the secrets of our past and opening a doorway to our future?
Hit subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten realities of history, tech, and luxury.